Today on Homeworthy, we invite you to escape to some of the most unique and snug cabins around. We'll visit 3 homes, a cabin brimming with art in every corner, an A-frame cabin serving as a serene retreat, and a Western-themed cabin by the coast. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Oh, hey Homeworthy. I'm Jodie Patterson. Welcome to my home in upstate New York. Let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Jodie Patterson. I am an LGBT advocate, an author, public speaker, and a mother of 5. So I've been coming upstate for the last 2 decades. And then I went through a divorce and I said, keep upstate. I don't want anything to do with upstate. And that lasted for about a couple of years. And then I realized I actually really love the mountains and the water and the nature. And so I started looking at places that I could see myself living in. And at first I thought I would buy a house, and then I just fell in love with this property. There are blueberry bushes and ponds and wild bears, and so I decided to build on this property. And so I built my house starting about 4 years ago, and I just finished. One of the first things you see when you enter my home is Michael Jackson. I'm a 70s baby. I grew up on the Jackson 5, love Michael Jackson, love music. I'm always playing music. So you've got Michael Jackson, John Coltrane, jazz legend, and Jimi Hendrix. This sort of sets the tone. And then, of course, an abstract gold table, because why not? Bronze vase, and it's always flooded with colorful flowers. A little love note from a child. I have them all over the place. Glasses for days. I think I have 10 pairs in this little nook here. And then can't go anywhere without a customized purse for myself. So I want to welcome you into the family room first. This is where we spend most of our time, and I actually spent most of my money here. The wall of windows was my non-negotiable. I could negotiate on everything else, but this is where I really spent a lot of time and resources, because for me, living sort of indoor-outdoor was the whole point of being up here. So I did this gigantic window display where it's 25 feet high and 12 feet wide. And I'm basically here all day. I watch the sunrise and the sunset. Another thing that I really wanted was a vintage fireplace. So winter, spring, summer, fall, we're lighting a fire, and it's gorgeous. A lot of what I do is collect things along the way, even if I don't have a place for them. So I bought this Italian marble table years ago, before I even had this house, in Brooklyn. I bought these white modern chairs in Zurich, Switzerland, probably 2 decades ago. The throws are IKEA, and then I bought some vintage pillowcases upstate. I really love my couch. So I had this very couch years ago, and it was tattered and worn, but it's such a gorgeous design that I had a friend of mine reupholster some vintage ones for me in leather. And the reason why I chose leather is because I have dogs and kids, and there's the outdoors, so I didn't want it to be too precious, but I love how you can really just sink into each one, and you can lounge, and you can sit up, and it really accommodates the whole family. dogs included, and it's not precious at all. Love this. And what's also really great about this is that you can move them around. So if we want to face the fireplace, we can. If we want to face each other, we can make it even more cozy. This is one of my favorite things in this house. Okay, doggies, let's go. Let's look around. Orange carpet from a friend. Two friends gifted it to me as a hand-me-down. The Panton chairs, I have a ton of them, and I've had them for like 22 years. I love them. They're white. You can wipe them down. Again, kid-friendly, dog-friendly, indoor, outdoor-friendly, and I move them around the house. I have some outdoors. I have some indoors. These chairs, I love. I love the framing of them. And they're all a little tattered and worn, and most of my furniture is, and I don't mind it. I've had these probably for 20 years as well. But what I really like about them was I chose an African fabric that I found in Ghana years ago and reupholstered them. My children are Ghanaian. Marble table is small, just enough for dinner or work. Most of the time, though, it's casual here, so we're like moving all around. We're eating outside, we're eating at the kitchen, we're eating here, but I do a lot of my work here. A lot of what I was trying to accomplish in this room was like a feeling of limitless, like you're one with the sky and one with nature, but also feeling really like at home and cozy. So everything has the capability of being like really wide and bright and open. But then if you really want to like snuggle up, you can find a corner here at the table or in the couch or by the fireplace. Like it offers you like the ability to sort of transform as you transform and as the day transforms. So like it's really bright and open, and then as it starts to get into the evening, you actually watch the sunset, and then your like energy goes down with it, and I kind of like that. So the staircase, even though it's not necessarily something that other people focus on, it was something that I really focused on. I wanted to see the spine of the staircase. I wanted to see like the architectural bones of it, and so I didn't want it finished. I didn't want it like capped. I just kept it open and like bulky. Another thing that I'm really into is like durability. I like to buy something and then have it for like 30 years. I've done that with clothing. I've done that with friends. I keep my friends close. And then also with like the design of this house, everything I feel is something that I can live with like forever. So I like to collect art, and I like to make art, and I don't have a lot of money. So a lot of my art is not expensive, but thoughtful, creative, and gems. So I did a gallery wall with a company called Framebridge, and they helped me frame and memorialize like 50 memories. And so I have like my father's pipe, you know, the 70s when like parents smoked in front of their children. I have my father's pipe. I have letters, love letters from my children. I have images of my family. This is actually from someone on Instagram who never met me but loved us as a family and then gifted this piece of art. I thought that was really special. My great-great-great-grandmothers, like, you know, generations and generations of Southern Black folks. Again, 5 generations of women, myself, my sister, my mom, my grandmother, my great-grandmother. These are things that I never want to forget. This is really important to me. I do a lot of work with the Human Rights Campaign, and I'm an LGBT advocate. And like 2 decades ago, I didn't even know what that meant. And in this moment, I was standing in front of probably like 3,000 people speaking about what I now know, which is inclusivity, diversity, love. Those are the deepest things that we have to lean into. And so this really reminds me that we can not know something and then find our way into being really deep in a new world. So we can always shift, we can always change. There's my book cover, some gymnastics medals. I really love this wall because it is a real combination or exploration of my life, which is Black thought, Black love, Black culture, Black literature, Black history, Black family. So when you walk into this house and you see that, you kind of know my whole story. You know, it's like when you walk into my home, you kind of immediately know. This is a house full of family, children, language, communication, Also music, like there's Max Roach and Amir Questlove and Roy Hargrove. They're friends of mine and family members of mine. But this like kind of wall shows you exactly who we are as a family. One thing I didn't mention that I really love is this chandelier. And just as much as the wall of art, this is another art piece that I adore. It was gifted to me by a company called Stray Dogs. And it, as substantial as it looks, it's paper mache. So it's quite light, again, durable. And just, I've had it with me through 4 different homes. And I really love that piece. So wherever I am, you'll always see a slew of books. Many of them are read, many of them are about to be read, passed down from my grandmother, things that I bought. So this is a bench that someone made for me, and it always holds like an array of books. Most of these are art books. Chris O'Feely is one of my favorite artists. Harlem Renaissance. I'm never too far away from books. And I'm also never too far away from like halfway tattered, dilapidated but still beautiful pieces. I found this one on the street of Brooklyn, like literally being tossed out in the garbage. And I called my cousin and I was like, yo, you gotta help me. Help me take this piece home. And so I've used it and I have never even repaired it. Like it's missing doorknobs. It's a little pulled, the paint. But I just really love it so much. The floral aspect, the green, shades of green. And it was in an era where pieces were made with some substance, so I've kept it just the way it is. And then if you look up, again, there's a family tapestry. So family is really like the basis of everything I do, all of my decisions, how I vote, where I live, how I spend my money. It's all about my family. And so that's just a reminder of like how essential it is above all else. One thing I want to point out that is like the quintessential piece in my home, and it speaks to who I am, is this painting. Naked bodies, unabashedly female bodies that are not clothed and not shy. And so my children sometimes question, why do we have naked women? And I say, because the body is beautiful, the body is powerful, and it's gorgeous, you know? So this is something I bought before I even had all the walls painted. I just had it here, propped it up, and I knew that this was going to speak to me and to really like my politics. So here you are, a wall of women. So there was nothing on this land but the land when I first when I first bought it. And so I have built this house from the ground up. Everything is exactly what I wanted. Everything is from my idea. Everything is new in a sense. And then I added in the texture and the heritage and the culture in the design work and in the little pieces, but the building itself is brand new. So much of my time is spent in the kitchen, cooking for my kids, but also cooking for myself. And then sort of decompressing also happens in the kitchen. I don't know about you, but I'm like chopping or washing dishes and processing the day, generating ideas, creative ideas. With that being said, I didn't want a massive kitchen. I didn't want an ornate kitchen or a fragile kitchen. So I did a really simple kitchen that looks out into the room, but it's manageable because I also don't like to spend a lot of time like prepping and cleaning. So I did a black sandstone island that's like, you know, a waterfall version. And then I did a stainless steel seamless sink countertop because I don't really have time to always get a cutting board. I'm just kind of like prepping and cutting and making a big mess, and I wanted something stainless steel. You could just wipe it down and keep it moving. Plus I love just an industrial look. I didn't even close the vent or cover the vent. I kept it exposed. I got all of my appliances, Home Depot, on sale. So like, you know, there's some imperfections here, which I love. In fact, you'll probably see like my refrigerator has a little ding in it. That's because it was an open box, like 75% off. These are the things that don't bother me. So I don't know if this is for everyone, but some of the imperfections didn't bother me and I was willing to save money on that. All my cabinetry is wood, custom black wood. But I'm really proud of this kitchen and I'm really comfortable in this kitchen. I can work with it. I can move around in it perfectly. And my kids actually can get in here too and like cut and shop, and everything is safe and sound. Another thing is I have windows everywhere. I can look out and see the water. I can look out and see my dogs playing. Sometimes I've seen a couple of deer, some baby bears. Years ago, I bought a bunch of things from Switzerland, and this toucan, I believe, came from Switzerland. I've had it in my offices, I've had it in my kitchens, and this is probably like the 5th house that it's been in. I love her. She's like a patinaed metal, and her eyes are blue, and she's just kind of like looking over us, making sure we're cool, we're okay. I also brought in a vintage mirror that has a sort of blur to it, so you're not like distracted by yourself, but you have some depth in this room. I think mirrors in kitchens are really interesting. They give you depth and they kind of bounce light around. And if you're by yourself in the kitchen, which I am a lot, you also sort of feel at home because you have another like person to interact with. I can turn around and see myself and smile. So with 5 kids, I'm cooking a lot, but also with me, I'm like trying to be more vegan, trying to be more raw, trying to be someone who cooks all their meals from scratch as opposed to buying things that are pre-made. Also at 54, I need to really protect my health in a way that I never did before. So I'm cooking a lot. We're cutting up, sweet potatoes, carrots, celery, spinach, anything leafy green, throwing in some chickpeas, cutting up some mushrooms, putting it in coconut milk, and then letting that stew for like an hour, and then serving that over quinoa. So that's something that everyone can make. Everyone can chop something up, throw it in the pot. It's like a 1-pot deal that I'm into these days. And then maybe some ramen noodles on top of that. Yeah, we're like into easy, fast, and healthy food these days. The weirdest thing is I don't use a dishwasher. I have a dishwasher, but I don't ever use it. I think it's like a waste of time, a waste of water. And so I'm always washing and then putting my things out to dry all the time. I don't even let my kids use the dishwasher. And so I found these stone drying mats on Amazon. They're like $20, but they're pretty. And you can take your dishes and put them there, and then within like a couple of minutes, they're dry. And there's like no mess. Love that. I also don't have a microwave, but I do have an air fryer. So that was like the trade-off. I was like, kids, no microwave. We've never had one. We're never getting it. But I have an air fryer. So that's like quick. You can throw some chickpeas in there and they taste like popcorn. You can throw some chicken breasts in there and it's like chicken fingers really fast. The air fryer and the griddle in the middle, game changers. Cutting boards, home goods, they're brilliant. I like these marble cutting boards as well. I found these at a vintage store. And I'm really into the natural sponges. I get skeeved out by regular sponges, so I get these off of Amazon. And you can pop off these tops and get the reusable ones. And that makes me feel happy. The other thing that I've hacked recently is the dishwashing soap and the sort of surface cleaners. I was using some things that I got on Amazon, but Koala Echo is a brand that I recently found. All natural, plant-based, suds for days, scent amazing, economical, and really, really healthy because my water is from my well. So I'm really living with the land and I don't want to dump in a bunch of chemicals into my land, but also on my dishes and in my body. So Koala Echo is something that I love. You know, I quickly realized when I started to build a house that every turn, every corner was another dollar spent. And so I opted for something really basic. So I have a barn. It's a modern barn with elevated ceilings, double height ceilings, 2 floors, lots of windows. Basically, I spent all my money on a floor to ceiling, 12-foot wide, 20-foot high wall of windows. And then there's scattered windows and skylights throughout, but essentially it's a really simple black barn with a lot of indoor-outdoor living. One of the things I really love is that from almost any place you can get outside. Any corner of this house, you have access to outside. So I built a screened-in porch, substantially big. And oftentimes I just keep the doors wide open and we're flowing in and out. And I positioned the outside porch, the screened-in porch, to look at and to sort of be bookcased by two ponds. So I have a pond to the left and a pond to the right, and birds all around. I painted it all black. I tilted the ceilings, and then I have two chaise lounges from, I think, Wayfair on sale. African cloth throne, Farty blanket throne, so like a little mix of different cultures. And then if you look behind around this corner, I have a table, and it's Italian, and it is very pristine at one point. It's shellacked calf skin, but it was worn and torn and left outside and shipped, and I don't want to throw it out. So I just throw an African mud cloth over it. And then again, my really beautiful chairs that I also did in African cloth. I don't know, I'm into upcycling, and I'm not sure how I'm going to upcycle this table, but it definitely needs some love. I mean, you can see it's nicked here and there, and it's peeling, but I love it so much that I'll try to figure out how to revive her a bit. You can really hear the birds chirping. My neighbors have roosters. There's a lot of engagement with nature out here. So oftentimes I'm just coming out here to sit. I have books for days to read, but sometimes I'm just sitting and listening. You know, a lot of my time is just quiet out here, and then eating and playing with the dogs. And I built in a like sort of gated in backyard for the dogs, because at night it gets really dark. And again, we have bears and all kinds of animals. And so my dogs can be outside fenced in. I can be here on the patio listening. And like hours just go so slowly. It's really incredible out here. My dogs go with me everywhere. This is Patty, short for Patterson. And this is Zora. Zora, say hi. Hey, Zora. And they're with me everywhere. Even when the kids aren't with me, my dogs are with me. And they love it out here just as much. We run to the ponds. We chase rabbits. We've even seen a couple of snakes. So much for everyone out here. It's a little scary sometimes because it is really natural out here. And I'm with the elements and I'm with the animals. So I have to be cautious about that. But also, I find it really beautiful. Can you hear the roosters? One of the best things about this porch is it's good for all seasons. So I have a heater for the winter. I have fans for when it gets really hot in the summertime. And we just kind of lounge and like take the day slowly out here. It's really incredible. Let me give you just a little tour of outside. So I built a space for my dogs because my dogs mean a lot to me. And it's just an enclosed backyard, which why would you enclose, the property that you own? But it's for my little dogs, and I love it. So I'm on the porch, and my dogs are in the backyard, and I do feel safe, and I know that they're safe. But you can look this way, and you'll hear the pond to the left, and then down that way is another pond. My trees are enormously tall. Sometimes I see eagles circling, and then I get a little nervous for my dogs, but I love to see what the land looks like when you just leave it alone. And I haven't landscaped anything. I haven't taken down shrubs. I haven't spent any money on landscaping yet. And I really like this moment where it's raw space, and I'm just kind of getting to know the property. My style has always been very personalized. I have a love for gold. I have a love for woods. And I have a love for sunshine. So I brought all of that into this house. There's a lot of gold of different hues, lots and lots of wood, different tones, and sunshine from every corner of the house. But I also like texture. So I have cork floors in some areas. I have tile from floor to ceiling in some areas. A furnace, a wood burning fireplace that's antique. Big, giant, enormous, extra wide cement sinks. Everything that I've sort of collected over the years as an idea, I thought I sort of threw them into this house. So my style is very much about the places that I've traveled, the people I know, and the worlds that I've entered, and with a burst of color and enthusiasm. I think you can see that in both the way I decorate my home and in the way I sort of adorn my body. Golds and colors and bursts of color and excitement. I'm going to invite you upstairs. stairs to my library and my bedroom. Every place I've ever lived has overflowing amounts of books. I love books as much as I love art, as much as I love travel. And so here's just like some of my books. And really these are many of them are like the oldest books, like a book that I had in high school or a book that my great grandmother gifted me. Some of them are signed copies by James Baldwin. So I've displayed them as art, but we also use them. The floors are cork. I love the texture of cork, the way it feels on the foot, but it's also sound absorbing, so that's kind of cool. And antibacterial, which I also love because dogs and stuff. Another one of the chairs in a different material, black velvet. And this painting is one of my favorites. It's a new painting by an old friend named Kilo Quiche. She used to work for me. She's an established musician, artist, and a really good friend. And so she painted that and then gifted it to me. And I love it. It's lots of colors and I love portraits. This brass light, also really simple, one of my favorite things. This little, I found this at a street fair in Brooklyn on a corner one day in Williamsburg, and I just love the colors. I've reupholstered pillows with some more African fabric. My dogs sit on them, my kids sleep on them. This makes for a really cozy space. Yeah, I like to make little moments in spaces that like pull you in. So like you're encouraged to sit down with this woman and maybe read a book or just think about people that are different from you or similar to you. I like to kind of create pauses in the moment, in the day. This couch also gives a good reason to pause. Another Brooklyn street find. Found it on the street, took off the legs, did not reupholster it, and like we're often sleeping here, resting. I have no TV in the house, so if my kids are here and I'm here, we might be playing board games, word games. We might be arguing, sleeping, laughing. But the idea that you can gather without electronics, and then your mind kind of goes to the river or the trees and then back to people. This is like how I wanted to spend the next 50 years of my life, where I'm like engaged with people and nature and less with gadgets. And if you look out that way, you can actually see the pond that we swim in. Much of the inspiration when I was thinking about the design of the house was like, how can we all live together? All different ages, all different like activity levels. How can we all be in one space together and make it work? So it was like durability, functionality, private spaces, open spaces, high design, because I'm a really visual person. So like everything from the different types of wood that I've used to the cables that I've put in for the staircase to the windows. This was all like very intentional. I needed the space to kind of work for all of us. And you'll see a mix of all of us in it. Different ages, different needs, different sensibilities. Skylights for days. Love some sunshine coming in. I've always been obsessed with like French doors, and this is not an authentic French door, but it kind of gives you like quaintness. And so the glass door was something I thought of. Black handles everywhere because I hate fingerprints and my kids are like dirty. So black handles everywhere. I have recently counted out how many careers I've had, and I think it's like 15. I've done so many things, and they've all been about moments of deep, deep interest. So I was in the music industry, I was in the fashion industry as the director of PR for Zach Posen. I was launched my own beauty company, my own beauty boutique, and my own beauty brand. I've worked in the circus as an acrobat, in publishing, both magazine and book. I mean, I've done so many things. And I think I'm also a nightclub co-owner of a live performance space in New York, Joe's Pub at the Public Theater. Everything that I've done has been about a deep interest, something I wanted to explore or figure out. And over the years, I've sort of combined those career paths into a really deep appreciation for humanity. And so now, as an artist, as a a writer, which I consider an artist, an author. I champion for LGBT rights and for equality. And you can see some of that, I think, in my house as well. I mean, I always have an enormous library. I also have remnants all around the house of the fight for equality across the times. So civil rights, women's rights, LGBT rights. You'll see that throughout my house. But I think when you're looking at my career path, it's as diverse and as sorted and as eclectic as my style of design. So now that we're entering the bedroom, I wanted to make it a distinct, separate energy from the open space of the whole house. And really, I'm the only one who's spending much time in here. Everything else is like free reign for the family, but then this is my private space. So I did a sort of like, glass pretty door. And then a little hallway. I decorated the hallway with a runner from Zurich. And on the walls, you'll see myself and my daughter. I have one daughter, 4 boys, 1 daughter. And then this is my bedroom. Very feminine. I did a wallpaper from the brand Lit, and it has monkeys and a wild forest and vines, and you can kind of get lost in the wallpaper alone. And I did the wallpaper around the door, and the door just opens up into the sky. So there's no deck, but you still get the whole energy from outside, which is like what I wanted for every room. And then I have 2 black sort of oval leather chairs, a throw from Home Goods, some vintage lighting everywhere, and then this bed. I wanted a sturdy block of wood. I wanted to like be sleeping in the trees, so I made my bed just out of wood, and I made it extra wide because I like to stretch. I actually sleep horizontally now. I heard it's like a fun thing to do when you want to rejigger your brain. So instead of sleeping there, I switch it around and I sleep horizontally. It's just been something I've been doing for about 5 years now. Another rug, which was a hand-me-down from a friend. And this is my desk. I've written books on this. I've come up with ideas for companies. I have brainstormed. This desk I found as a throwaway. I think it was a bank was throwing away a bunch of desks. And it's marble and steel and wood. And it's a ton. And I brought it from every house to house to house. And somehow we got it up here. And so this is my workspace. These are some press clippings of mine. I typically don't do much with my press. I look at them, I smile, and then I fold them up and tuck them in a drawer. And I've been in a lot of magazines. O Magazine, New York Family, Domino, W, Vogue, Japanese Vogue, dozens and dozens of magazines. But I wanted to put a few of them on the wall just to remind myself. This is no one else is really seeing this except you. But this is just to remind myself that I'm doing something with my time that has had impact on people. So brag to yourself a little bit. That's my brag wall. This is a framed tapestry. This used to be a bedspread, and it was on my bed years ago, and I loved it so much, and it was tattered and worn, and so I minimized it and framed it. Again, bursts of colors, peacocks, and just optimism. That's basically what I see in this tapestry, optimism. What else can I tell you about this? Skylights, fans, and exposed ventilation. Again, it's pretty, it's girly, but it's also feminine and womanly, and then also raw and industrial. Pink is one of my favorite colors. Some people think, you don't look like a pink kind of woman. I love pink. I love hot pink. I love dusty pink. And so I found these light covers at IKEA. I don't even know if I put them upright. They're kind of thrown up there. But again, they sort of set the tone. This is my room. This is my space. It's very feminine. It's very Jodie. My favorite color is pink, so I have pink light covers. Sliding barn door, which was a last-minute addition to my bathroom. Bathroom is sort of tightly positioned near the hallway, so I couldn't have a door that swung in and out. So a friend of mine gave me their barn door that they no longer needed, and it was perfect. I knew that I wanted a big, expansive bathroom because in reality, I can have 10 bathrooms in my house and like all the kids are in mine. Like we only need one. And so I thought, okay, I'll just do a really big bathroom with like space that's unused and may never be used. So I have like benches that kind of wrap around the whole bathroom and go down that way. And you're like, my friend's like, what are the benches for? I'm like, I don't know. So we just sit, we can talk, we can twist our hair, we can condition our dreads, clip our nails, do whatever we want to do in here. And oftentimes, although I say this is my space, it becomes the family space. So benches, showers. I don't have one bathtub in this house. People kept telling me, you can't resell the house without bathtubs. I don't care. I don't take baths, don't have time for baths. I love a good shower, and so got the shower. I want to pull some attention to my sinks. Spent a lot of time figuring out what kind of sinks I wanted. I knew I wanted something sturdy, like substantial, and everything I kept going back to was a fortune, like $10,000, $5,000. I didn't have $500 for each sink because I have 3 bathrooms. So what I ended up doing was going on Pinterest, finding the style that I wanted, which was a solid cement sink, and then creating them in, I think, South America. I found someone in South America. They made them for a couple of $100s. They shipped them, 3 of them, and then I put them on top of a Wayfair vanity. So all in all, it was probably like $300. Vintage mirror hanging above. Brass spout, also found on Pinterest. And my sort of semi-modern toilet from Home Depot on sale. Also found my gold fixtures in the shower on Amazon. And I like them. They're not flimsy. They work really well. I have the rain shower and then also the handheld, and I love them. Some of the things that I found also on Instagram, these towels, you can like shop. If you know your style and if you know what if your eye is attracted to certain things, you can find your attractions on Instagram. And so I found these really sort of like vibrant towel sets on Instagram, and I love them. I love wallpaper. Sometimes it can be really expensive. I chose a sort of more elevated wallpaper in my bedroom, but then I found a really great wallpaper on Amazon, like a stick and peel. Let me show it to you. So cheetahs, wild cheetahs. It's kind of my thing. It's a stick and peel wallpaper, and it's really rich, decadent, and reminds me a little bit of like a Gucci aesthetic. It also reminds me of one of my favorite authors, Glennon Doyle. I just love it. And it was really easy. You just, steal and stick and peel and stick is something you can do by yourself. And so it takes a little bit of effort, but you totally don't have to hire anyone to do it. And then I just did a metal pipe for hanging and wood similar to my bookshelves for my clothing. I don't have a lot of stuff up here. I use the same 5 pairs of 5 t-shirts and 2 pairs of jeans. So this is like exactly what I needed. My boudoir. I have a really full house. I have 5 children, 2 dogs. And so there's a lot of language, a lot of music, a lot of energy. And I think that really is what, for me, feels like a home as opposed to just a house. But sometimes I like a really quiet home too. So oftentimes I come up here by myself without the kids, without all of the distractions of the city and the energy that all of us bring in one space. So for me, there is always a place for history in a home, always a place for language and discussion in a home, always a place for almost conflicting ideas in a home. And then there is always quiet and peace in my home. So I think, there's not one thing, but it's a lot of these sort of like things that actually look like a mini city in my house.
Today on Homeworthy, we're heading to upstate New York to visit the 1960s A-frame cabin of publicist Carolyn McKay. Looking for an escape from the city, she purchased this cozy and quaint move-in ready home that features minimalistic and serene decor, expansive wooded grounds, and her favorite, a barrel sauna. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Caroline McKay. Welcome to my home in Livingston Manor. Come on in. So this is kind of the main living space of the house. So just to give a little bit of background on it, so I previously worked at Soho House and kind of took a lot of inspiration from like how they design a lot of their spaces. They use a lot of texture, but I'm a bit more like a little bit more muted tones, but I really like kind of the way like different textures work together and can look good together while also feeling cohesive. So that's kind of how I thought about this space. Also, this is an original 60s A-frame, so it's a little unique in that the structure of the walls is like very much a triangle from, ceiling to floor. So also having to work in that and realizing that you have to kind of be unique with where you can be placing art. You'll probably notice this like very small piece of art in the corner here. And so kind of was really intentional about that, but also I needed to find a sofa or a sectional that was like extremely low to the ground because there's only about like 30 inches there. So it was really hard to try to figure out like what would work well in this space while also kind of maximizing the space that I have. Because if I went with something higher, it would jut out very far. And so I ended up finding this sofa, which I really loved. I forget the exact brand or where I found it, but I loved that it was kind of this like white blue boucle color. And it just like felt like it fit really well with the space and also made it really natural. And also this is my dog, Ollie, who will be very involved. So kind of thought about that. And then I really like kind of more like 60s mod shapes, things like that. So that's where kind of the like bubble lighting you'll see on, this side here, and then also like a smaller moment over here. And I thought it was a nice way to like light the space. And because of the high ceilings, there's also, it's difficult to have like overhead lighting. So I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of lighting, within the space. So also just trying to create like separate moments too. So like this here, just kind of making a little space where you can sit down, read a book, kind of put your feet up, relax, and like also kind of, it just feels like a very relaxing part of the space, which I really love. And I'm trying to think if there was anything. I did get some, like this table here, I found vintage. The magazine rack over there I did as well. And then these coffee tables actually I found, I think on CB2, and I just loved them so much. It was like one of the pieces I waited the longest for. And so I think that's big for me too. Like I really like a mix of vintage and also like kind of bringing in some newer pieces too, to make it feel like, just like speak to the house a little bit more and like what, how like you want to live in a space. I'll show you in the back bedroom. So I have a TV that's like on this cool easel thing that I put it in the back bedroom because it's really difficult to like plan for a television in this space. But it's nice because since it's on an easel, you can just bring it out of the back bedroom and plug it in. Like I did that last night, watched a movie out here. So it really makes this space really cozy. I've also thought about a projector, but I just wasn't sure if people would be kind of craning their necks a little with the walls like this, but always willing to try. I also think for me, like personally, I don't watch a ton of TV, but I do like it to relax every once in a while. But this place feels like a very like calm, serene, very much an escape from kind of the city and what's like going on in the world. And so for me, I felt like I didn't need to put a TV in every room or have it like too plugged in. Obviously there's Wi-Fi, things like practical, but I did feel like one that could be kind of moved around would be the best. I live in Soho in Manhattan, so obviously kind of the center of the city, which is really amazing and I love it there, but I do find that like I don't sleep as well in the city. I find that I like kind of need a place to escape to. And especially I think pre-COVID, it's like, you know, I was fully living in the city. My parents, you know, live outside the city. So when I was at their house, it was always very nice to be like kind of in nature and a little bit removed. I think I realized during COVID just like how important it was for me to have like some sort of access to nature. So that's what really drove me to kind of start looking up here and yeah, just kind of think about like really what makes an escape for people. And like, I think when you're in a place where like nature is so abundant and so beautiful, it's like, when you wake up here, you're hearing birds, like you're kind of waking up naturally with the natural light. You know, it feels like a very different way of living, whereas the city is so amazing, but very buzzy. So that's kind of like why I was really thinking of getting a spot up here. And also I think post-COVID, I think everyone was like a little nervous, like not having, you know, wanting to have a place to escape to just in case. So I try to get up here probably like once every 2 months. I wish I came up more, to be honest. But sometimes I just get stuck in the city or stuck with other travels. But I feel pretty lucky. It's like a place where like friends can stay. I also rent the house. So it's kind of like a good mix of me being able to use it, but also like sharing it with people around me, which is great. Now let's see the dining area. I think when I thought about this space, like I talked about it with a few different people and a lot of people were like, you know, you probably want something like small, something round, like a bistro table. But for me, like hosting is really big. And I also wanted to be able to have friends up there, have people feel comfortable. Also, if it's like bringing my team up here, wanting to do some work up here, like I wanted a place where people could feel very like centralized. And I also think there's like a nice idea of like working with the space and kind of like something like longer felt more interesting to me than round in this particular space. So it's cool because like I said, like my big thing is kind of combining furniture that's being produced now with vintage. And so this table was from Article. I found it and it was just like the perfect size. So I got that. But then these chairs I found at a vintage store in Westport, Connecticut. And I think I got, which is insane, I think I got the whole set for like $200, which was insane. And I mean, they're beautiful. They were in very good shape and they're kind of cool because if you look at each of them, for example, like the wicker on this one is like a little bit of a darker wood, whereas like the one next to it's a little bit lighter. But I actually kind of, that's I think what makes spaces so unique is that this like lack of perfection. And so that part of it was really interesting to me too. And then when I worked at Soho House, we were launching a platform called Soho Home that was like their furniture line. And we had done a project with these three, I think they were friends or brothers who started this lighting company called Tala. And I just thought like they were the coolest fixtures that were basically these kind of like large bulbs, but like really reinvented to make them like a standout. And they have like table side things. So I always looked at this one. I always thought it was so unique and cool. And for this space in particular, like I was mentioning, like there's no wiring up here and it would be really difficult to do. So being able to kind of hang something like this felt that it would make this space even cozier. I can turn it on if you guys kind of want to see how it lights up, but it's pretty interesting. Just the way it almost looks like an Edison bulb, but just way more, has like an artistic part to it. And then this is something people always ask about. And this was like with the original house. And so it's a pellet stove and probably was honestly the original kind of like major source of heating in the house, but it's, as you can see, it's huge. But it's really cool. It is usable and also just kind of really fun to have on in the winter if you want to make the space a little bit cozier and you don't want to like utilize the electric heating as much. And I also think if you're like having a dinner and have a nice fire, just again, like making a space feel really like homey and cozy, I think is always just huge. So I think a big thing for me is, creating a space that's really inviting for people. I think, I always feel like I'm very interested about like the concept of home and like what that means to people. And I think for me, it's always meant a space where I like can truly feel like I get to unplug, that I feel like very comfortable in, but also that it's not too overwhelming, too like much going on, where it's almost like you can make a space your own in some sense. So that was really huge for me. I think I love the idea of people feeling like they want to like cozy up and like be with friends and cook, or like, you know, just like spend time in a space. I think that's also why I have like so many blankets all over the place. I always want people to feel like they can just like wrap in a blanket or like take a great nap or like kind of sit down with a book. And I think, like I said, just like being able to unwind, like coming out from the city. I mean, we're only 2 hours from the city, which is so nice. So it's really easy for people to get up here. And I think when they do, they like feel like they're so much further from New York, which is awesome. This rug was Soho Home, and I think it felt interesting to me because it's basically like, to me, like a very differently designed jute rug. It's almost like pieced together. And I thought, again, like it uses this like lighter color palette while also, you know, feeling very like interesting in design and a lot of texture to it. So it's like that, like contrasting with the blue boucle and then like kind of the green and the marble, I think just like kind of comes together in a really cool way. Also for practical reasons, you know, jute, it's really easy to care for. You know, you don't have to worry about people if they trek in mud, or like they have, you know, I have a dog, obviously, it is central to the shot. But, you know, I think it's pretty easy to care for as well. So it's like kind of this mix of like style and design while also like thinking about functionality. And then the one under the dining table, I think I was just also wanting to really like section spaces out because it's such an open floor plan, and, you know, making people kind of know like what area they're in or like what it's almost intended to be for. So for this one, I just wanted to go with something that was kind of like fit the table perfectly, that wasn't too far out from the table. Also just, again, for practicality reasons, because, you know, if people are eating, things like that, like if it's further out, it's like the chance of spillage is a lot higher. But then also just going with something very like muted tone, just to make the space feel warm again, but also like pulled together. It's really cool. The table is kind of a mix. Like when I come up here and I'm doing work, it's my favorite thing to like sit at the head of the table and kind of look out at, you know, nature. And it can be a very like alone, great time for me. But I love to kind of host people, and I love to host dinner parties. And so it's kind of that dual thing where it kind of functions as both for me personally. So I think with hosting for me, it's all about kind of like ease and also being able to like have a good amount of counter space. And I, you know, had mentioned this maybe a little earlier, but there's like a very big sink here, which I think is really great because up here you're buying a lot of like, you're going to a lot of, you know, farms, you're buying a lot of produce, or like I'm always like getting flowers and putting flowers in the house in the summer. So it's nice to have like also so much space in the sink to really kind of like, you know, fill it up and be kind of washing everything. And then one cool thing that I like love about this kitchen is actually that these cabinets are original to the house, and that they were just kind of redone for, you know, when it was fixed up. So they were just repainted, and they even used kind of these like original hardware, which is really unique. And they feel like very farmhousey. I'm also like, as you can tell from my wardrobe, I love stripes generally, and although this is not like a typical like stripe, I just love kind of these like vertical lines. I think they make the space really unique, especially contrasting with like kind of these where it's more like horizontal tiling. And then all the appliances, they're kind of cool because they're Bertazzoni, and so all Italian appliances, and they are made for smaller spaces. So, but it's funny because even though they are like smaller than kind of like the average appliances, it doesn't feel that way to me. It feels very like you can, you know, very much be cooking like full meals. The fridge feels very spacious. And so I do feel like there's like a good amount of like room in here to really like cook or kind of honestly like use it as kind of a central space, or, you know, making coffee and tea in the morning. Also, the window here overlooks into the yard. So it's just like a nice space to like stand sometimes, very like, I don't know, very kind of like a movie moment, like looking out at the beautiful yard. So I actually didn't touch this kitchen much when I moved into the house. A lot of kind of what a lot of people would consider more like major renovations to the house were already done, since it had been like flipped before I got it, which was actually ideal for me, because also like the kitchen was a big selling point for me when I came and saw the house. I just loved how they had done it. It was very much my style. And yeah, so there wasn't much really to be done for it, but I think that also speaks to a little bit, like a lot of people have asked me like, oh, why'd you buy a house that was already flipped? Like, I feel like you have, you know, an opinion on a lot of design elements. And I felt like this house was, even though it had been newly renovated, it was very much a blank canvas. But also what a lot of people don't account for is, you know, there's a lot of building going on upstate, which is great, but there's like kind of limited amount of people that are able to really work on select projects. And so friends who have gone with more of a fixer-upper or are trying to flip themselves have kind of trouble getting, you know, the work done in an effective timeline. So for me, I'm one person, I own my own business. I have a lot going on. And so I feel like I wanted a space where I could kind of like come in, do all the interiors, do some minor work to it, and really make it my own without having to go through the stress of like very major renovations, especially being 2 hours from the city. Because even when something minor comes up here, you know, you have to kind of race up here. You have to find the right people to help you with it. So for me, it felt like that was at this point in my life, in the future, I'd love to do like a very major renovation, but not right now. So I'm going to take you guys into one of my favorite places in the house. Also the one with the best views. These are kind of funny, have a little bit of a story to them, but they're pine cones from Sequoia National Forest out in near San Francisco. And my aunt had them, and I always loved them. And my parents had used them historically as decorations in our house growing up, especially in like the fall months. So I thought that they were just like a fun addition to the house to make it feel like cabiny. So as you can kind of see, this lofted area has the best view in the house. As I mentioned, this was an original 60s A-frame, but the person who flipped the house put in the triangle window and the big window here, which I think really probably changed the entire house, and really just gives you this like true window to nature. It's a little harder to see in the summer because obviously there's so much greenery, but when the fall is here and the colors, it is magical. You feel like you're in like a snow globe. And same when it snows. It's just like the coolest views. And so I just love being up here. I will say, if you're not like a morning person, the light comes in pretty early, like 5:30 a.m. So just bring a sleeping mask. And then this fixture is really interesting, really cool, kind of more of like farmhouse vibes, I would say. This came with the house. They had installed this prior to me moving in. Also, thank goodness, because I think these ceilings are over like 30 something feet. But one thing, you know, is that if you have to change the bulbs, it's a little challenging. And I recently had a tree fall in the house, like, you know, the power surged and it knocked out all the bulbs up there. And so had to get some guys in with some very tall ladders to fix that one. But I do think it's such a great fixture, and it just, when it's lit up at night, you can kind of see it from the road. Like it kind of lights up the whole A-frame inside and just kind of really gives off a really beautiful light. So I really love it. And then this is kind of a little just reading nook, which I love. Just a nice place to sit when you're, so like I said, wanting to relax, look out into nature. Just a kind of another one of those like seated moments where you very like, again, to unwind, unplug, similar to what I mentioned in the living room. And then this is always the bedroom I stay in when I'm here. I think it's just like, I love the space. I think, again, like just like the views, waking up, like the sounds, like feeling as like you're in nature. These two lamps on the side of the bed are one of my favorite vintage purchases ever. Red marble is very difficult to find, especially when it comes to lamps. And I just feel like this red marble in particular, it's like so veiny and interesting. Like it's like pinkish red. And so those are what basically designed this entire room. So I based the rest of the design off these two lamps, which is so funny because they're so small. But you know, after seeing them and picking them up, I was like, these are perfect. And so, as I said, big fan of stripes. So hence the bedding. And this is actually like one of my favorite clients I've worked with for years. It's called Pom Pom at Home. They make beautiful stuff. And kind of paired it with these really fun side tables that kind of are like checker mark design. And then again, like I mentioned it earlier, but art is really hard to hang in here. So, and these walls in particular are like very slim. So kind of having like a mirror up here that also reflected the rest of the space felt important, but also having something that was like very simple and again, just relaxing to view and watch. So that's how I kind of thought of it. And then I did put this like small bench here at the end of the bed just to like have a space where you could kind of like either like perch a little bit or like, you know, put a dress or like, you know, fold some clothes on. I don't have a ton of storage up here because I wanted to leave the space so open. So not that this is that much storage space, but I did think it was nice to have a little something that, yeah, you could like put some things on. These side tables also, they kind of snap right out and you can store stuff in there as well. So it's kind of like a unique little space for storage, which is kind of fun. And then yeah, with the best view in the house. I'm gonna take you guys back downstairs to see the other bedroom in the house. So this is the second bedroom, very much just like a traditional room and more traditional like square bedroom space, but few different things that I love in this room. This triangle dresser, I lived in London as a child and this was a gift from my mom to my dad and they had it in their house in Connecticut for many years. And when I brought the A-frame, they were like, you need to find a way to put this in there. It's an actual A-frame, you know, so, and it's fun because it has like all different size drawers. So you can kind of put like littler things at the top and then like use the rest as like actual storage, which is pretty cool. So I just love that like element. And actually a lot of people comment on it as like one of the cooler things in the house. But it's definitely like a more traditional in terms of like the color, and so like making it work with this space. And then I also love the rug in here, this kind of like checker mark rug. This is a Nordic Knots rug. I always like love their stuff, but this one I felt very unique to me. And again, like I like contrasting patterns a little bit, so it felt very fun to have in here. And then yeah, the bedding, I'm big, as you can see, I love like stacking pillows. I like using like different colors and really like making up a bed. And then I know I mentioned it a little earlier, but this is the room that has the TV and it's really nice because it's on kind of this easel and can kind of like, you can move it any which way you'd like. And then you, like I said, you can like move it throughout the house. So a really easy way if you like want to have a TV in a space, but you don't want it to be like the dominant feature. And again, like very few places in my home that I can actually hang a TV. So for me, this felt like the best option. You can either stay back here or move to the living room, move upstairs, kind of wherever people want it, which is really nice. And then this mirror here that just kind of reflects back. And just, I always think mirrors just open up a space, make it feel bigger, make it feel, you know, reflecting on like the rest of the space. You can kind of see it from different angles, which is pretty cool. And then this room I think is a great room if you're more of the type of person that wants to like sleep in. I put curtains in here and just, you know, make it feel a little bit more like private. But this also has like so much greenery surrounding it. And, you know, the forest is back here behind the house. So this room also just feels very like cozy, especially in the winter. So in the winter months, I'll come down here sometimes. The one thing that's really cool about this house is like the sun hits it at all different times of day. So as you probably saw in the living room and upstairs, like morning light is, you know, golden. But in the afternoon, the back of the house gets all this beautiful light. So this room gets completely lit up. You know, the bathroom back here gets that. And so does the kitchen area, which is really special. And so I think it's just cool to kind of watch how the different rooms like almost change with this natural light. So yeah, definitely something that's like very interesting. And as I've mentioned, there's so many windows in here that I think that's also a really cool aspect of it too. Also, one other little thing to mention. So I have this kind of like interest in putting art in like different kind of spaces that people don't really expect it. And I think one that people always mention is I have this piece of art that kind of fits perfectly in this hallway and is like on the floor here almost, which people are always interested in because it kind of draws their eye to, because it's this like very like girly pink moment, which I love. But also, you know, is like right below this window and really fits like perfectly into this space. So something I always like to mention just because it's almost like a little secret touch that I feel like people recognize, but they don't like fully see until you mention it. Well, I'd love to show you guys the front of the house because I think that's one of the coolest aspects. And one thing people always mention to me too, and you'll notice when we go outside, is the whole house on the outside is all black and pretty much everything inside is all white. So it's a really kind of cool contrast just to see like the difference. People always say like the outside of the house kind of looks like a witch's hat. So you'll see it. Come on, little dude. So this is the outside of the house. Honestly, like one of my favorite parts of the house as well. I just really, like I said, I really like kind of the contrast between the outside and the inside. And it's just, as you might be able to tell, there's kind of this like large porch area. So this is also a great place to come if in the summer I love to like host on this table or work outside here. I have a fire pit and, you know, all the firewood here, and it just feels like a very relaxing place. You can also, I also like will pull out a yoga mat and do yoga out here. So it's definitely like it's one of the like best views of all the overall kind of lawn and everything too. So you can kind of see the saunas over there. And then I have another fire pit down there. Yeah, so you just feel like, again, you're kind of like 360 surrounded by nature, which feels very nice. And there's an amazing natural wine store in town. And I think my favorite thing is lighting a fire up here, making some pizza or something, and then having a glass or two of wine. So I'm actually really excited. Yesterday was my birthday, so I'm having a bit of a birthday weekend camp out up here. So I have like 40 friends coming in from the city, which is kind of crazy, and doing like a bunch of outside games and like gonna have the campfires going, the sauna going, sprinkler too, but just really like, I don't know, it's really nice to be able to share this with friends because Livingston Manor is such an amazing town and such a fun place, and then also being able to like bring friends up from outside the city and kind of have them experience what I experience out here is very cool. And I even bought like one of the uni pizza ovens so we could like make our own pizzas outside, and I think it's gonna be a really fun weekend. Also, the weather is actually so perfect. I think one thing is, you know, the house upstate, you don't really need AC, and I think some people kind of get worried about that sometimes, but you just open the windows. At night it goes down to like 60 degrees. You have like a beautiful breeze. It's just so nice up here. I think that one of the things that actually really drew me to the house was just how big this patio space was, because as you probably can tell, I love my house, but it's pretty small. It's very cozy, but like having this just almost is like an extension of the footprint of the house, which feels so nice. And also it being able to, like I said, put a fire pit up here, utilize the yard space, really like kind of can be used for so many different things. And also like you could move the chairs up here from the lawn. Like you can really kind of make it how you want in terms of like a cozy space. And we're up on like kind of a mountain top here, and you're like even elevated further on this porch. So it also does feel like you're very combined with nature, which is really nice. And kind of like in the trees tops, which I love about it. Something that I am really drawn to with homes in a nature setting is just having a lot of natural light and a lot of windows, just also because I feel like that is what makes you feel like a part of the surrounding nature and just like makes it more interesting to me. And so as you can see from the outside of the house, not only do the 2 windows that I was describing that are here but then, you know, these bottom floor windows plus the front door has a massive full length window. So it's like when you're looking inside or outside, you just really have this like amazing view either way, whether you're seeing the inside of the house or you're seeing the nature from when you're sitting inside. So I think that's like such a cool like architectural feature to the house, and something that really like drew me to it, to be honest, because that's, you know, I think in New York City, for example, like you don't necessarily want to be surrounded by windows because then everyone can kind of see into your place, versus in a nature space when you're kind of surrounded by trees, there's kind of this like freeing aspect to it. I love it. And I think there's just like being able to also like look at the little elements when you're looking in the house from the outside is really cool too. I do also love this doormat. It says peace and quiet. And again, I think that's like what I've talked about like most of this home tour, but just making a place to unwind, and that being like the first message that you kind of subtly see when you enter, I think is pretty cool. Okay, I want to show you guys the yard. There's kind of one thing that I like think about just like being upstate. As I mentioned, I like really wanted a place where people could, myself included, unwind and relax. So part of that obviously like having a fire outside at night. I feel like I always did that growing up with my dad as a kid, and I just think it's such a relaxing way to like end the day. And even if the weather's like, it's kind of an all year round thing. Even in the middle of winter, you can have like a great fire going and feel like totally warm. And so I put in this, you know, kind of like very sectioned off like fire pit area. So when I got the house, I bought it in winter. So there was snow on the ground. When the grass grew in, what you're seeing here was like buried with like mud and grass, and like no one even knew it was here essentially. And then I had some landscaping work done just to like clean it up. And they're like, hey, so we actually discovered this like fire pit area. And it was kind of this amazing thing because it was clearly like a part of the original house that had just been like covered for years. So it was like kind of unveiling. It felt pretty cool and interesting. And so I got these like great chairs. I forget the material, but they withstand, I can keep them out all year round. And I also love the look of them. They kind of remind me of the ones from Design Within Reach, but they're like, that wasn't in the budget for me. So went with these, but they're fantastic. And I think they look really great. And then I have a bigger fire pit here. And then like a smaller solo stove on the porch. Back to kind of the unwinding aspect of the house. I think one thing that I personally love is like, I love saunas. I think they're really good for you. I also feel like you're not getting to see this, but in the early mornings here, there's like a mist because we're on a mountain that kind of like, when you look out, it's almost like, I don't know, it's pretty magical. And I always envisioned, I was like, I think the best thing would be to that time of morning, like go into a sauna. And so, yeah, I had this barrel sauna built, which has been amazing. And I think it's, first of all, I just like love the color. I love like the contrast with the house. It feels like very like natural. It fits like right into this like perfect start of the kind of forest behind my house. And also all these ferns grow here on the sides of it. So felt like such a great place to put it. And so kind of cleared some of the ferns and really just like tucked it in the start of the forest. And yeah, it's a red cedar sauna, really beautiful even from the inside. It fits, I think it fits, there are 4 or 6 people. I think it's 4. But yeah, you can even like smell the cedar, and even if it like rains a little and it just like that really great kind of smell comes out of there. And I just, yeah, a perfect place to like, I don't know, I think when you come upstate sometimes it's like you don't want to have to leave the property for everything, but if people are coming from New York City, it's kind of hard for them to like get all the groceries and stuff like from the onset. But like just having a nice like space where you on the property, you don't have to leave, where you can just like very much unwind and kind of then go have a, you know, tea or coffee in the morning, I think is a really nice aspect to it. So I also like love the look of it. I was like not sure like which one to get, but this one worked out great. So it is electric, but then there's like sauna rocks that you put in, and then you can like put the water on the sauna rocks and kind of make it the steam as well. But yeah, there's nothing, I'm a big runner, and there's like nothing better than going on a long run and then coming back and like doing a sauna before showering. It's kind of like the best morning routine ever. So yeah, it's a very, very exciting like amenity. But actually from the architectural standpoint of the house, I could show you like one more thing that I think is kind of cool. So I mentioned earlier when we were on the, or well, maybe it was inside, but I mentioned that like the house kind of looks like a witch's hat, which you probably didn't get from seeing that. But if you come up here, it's more of the back of the house that looks like that. And there's this like kind of little clearing here. But if you look at the house from this angle, you'll see what I mean. Isn't that cool? And it just, yeah, it looks like, I don't know, Halloween back here. But then again, like seeing all the greenery around it, it's just so cool. And also like seeing the yard from this angle and like the sauna and everything, you just feel calm. I don't know, I just feel like because that's obviously like the only parts of the house that are square, kind of like you can really see it. And it's kind of fun just to see how far it goes back. I did mention earlier that I have thought about just like the concept of like what makes a house a home and like what that is for me and what that is for other people. And I think the biggest thing is it feeling like inviting a space where you can like really be yourself and kind of leave your own like footprint in. And for me, that was what I really focused on when kind of making this space, just a place that felt like very cozy, very comfortable, a place, like I said, that you can host. Because I think the biggest thing comes down to like in life and in houses, it's the people that are there and the people and like kind of the memories you make in a space. It's not the actual physical structure, no matter how cool it can be. And I think that's the biggest thing, like making a place where people feel like they can feel comfortable, make those like great memories and like really like be. So I think that's for me what makes a house a home.
Today on Homeworthy, we're taking you to the wild west of the Hamptons with animal advocate, author, and former Today Show correspondent Jill Rapaport. Fondly named the Last Buck Ranch, the home is a dream come true for Jill, who always hoped to have her own country log cabin. Inside, you'll find one-of-a-kind custom wood details, beautiful fabrics, even a western town, and a movie theater. Along the way, she introduces us to her beloved rescue animals and takes us down to her barn. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. By clicking the join button below, you not only support the production of these videos, you also gain access to exclusive content just for members. And today you'll see an extended interview with Jill about her incredible career journey. So join today to see more of the homes you love.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Jill Rapaport and welcome to the Last Buck Ranch. Come on in. One of my beautiful rescue dogs is waiting to greet you. Hi, I'm Jill Rapaport and welcome inside the Last Buck Ranch, and this is part of my fur family. This is one of my many rescues, Super Stanley. The others are a little camera shy today and two are having kind of a bad hair day. But Stanley's going to help and assist in this tour. Come on, Stanley. This is the entryway, and I have a really funny story about what happened with my home. When it was built, believe it or not, in Montana, I designed it on a piece of paper. I wanted a country log home. I didn't want it to look like a ski lodge. Drew the home after months and months of back and forth notes. The house was designed. They build the house literally log by log in Montana. They assemble it. They see how it looks, no windows, all one shell. Then they take it apart log by log. And truck by truck, it comes from Montana to the Hamptons. So it's really quite an unbelievable undertaking. And to make matters a little crazy, why not? Once the home arrived and it was being assembled, I walk in to the entryway and I see right here, the staircase is supposed to go right here downstairs. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. I don't want to look at stairs. So mid-build, follow me around here, I tell them that I want the staircase to be hidden over here. And they said, okay, that's fine, but now you're changing the whole structure of your home. So literally, while these guys from Montana were here, we had to do new support beams, or as we call them, support logs. And I love them so much because look at the difference that this made. Just my little change once it got here. I'm all about everything being natural, utilizing our beautiful environment, bringing the outside in. So all of these logs, all of these branches, they were literally from fallen trees. And instead of just letting them rot into the ground, which is also very good for the earth, by the way, we decided to use all these branches. And they steamed them in unbelievable hot water and steam, and they molded them to create these beautiful, incredible shapes. And isn't this amazing? Because I feel like I'm literally in the forest here. And if you look up, I was always obsessed with the show Bonanza, and I'm dating myself now. Now you know how old I am. Anyway, I loved a stucco ceiling, something that looked like the Old West, something you'd find in New Mexico. And I had to bring artisans in literally from all over the country because this isn't your typical Hamptons home. But look at the beautiful design with the stucco that is created in the foyer. And all of my lamps, everybody always laughs because they say, oh, it's such a beautiful fixture. And I said, really? eBay, $29. Or I go to yard sales, estate sales. I find just such amazing things from people selling them in their backyard, often throwing them away. And anything that looks vintage, that's Americana, I love. And I try to incorporate everything in my home with very little price tag, which is what I really love. And then again, incorporating the outside in. This was the most beautiful tree that had fallen. And I thought, oh, this is the perfect place for my cowboy hat rack. And literally all we did, we left all the branches, was strip the bark away and hang everything. Is this the best way? I mean, is there a more beautiful closet than this? And obviously, this is truly my dream come true. But for the architects and the contractors involved, it was a little overwhelming because, as I mentioned, while they were literally assembling things, I'm changing them mid-beam. And that is exactly what happened with this door. If you can see the outline, right? It was designed to be a big rectangle square entry door, right? I was looking through a magazine one day and I read about this amazing company in California that makes beautiful Spanish doors. And I found this oval shaped door. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is, which looks out onto my incredible waterfall, which, by the way, I leave that waterfall running 24/7 all year long so that the animals have a place to drink, especially the deer. But this door was so beautiful, I thought, I have to have this. But wait a minute, it's a different shape than what was designed. So mid-build, my wonderful carpenters and designers, I got this beautiful Talavera tile from New Mexico. We did an incredible design and they restructured and put in a support beam above so that I could have my dream Spanish door. Isn't it great? Now, because this is a log cabin, you don't have the normal walls and insulation and the way the sheetrock is put in. These are logs with chinking. And so literally it's just log into the wall with the chinking, and there's nothing inside to put all your wires, your electricity, your utilities, your fans, whatever. So we created areas where we lowered the ceiling in certain parts where we could put in all the mechanicals. And this is one spare closet where I needed to hide. This is the air conditioning units. But do you see what I'm saying? Because there's no way to build them into the walls, I made a closet for them so they feel very warm and welcomed. There you go. So I had been coming to the Hamptons for many years, often renting, and it was always my dream to have enough property to have my beloved horses, all of my rescue dogs, to be able to run free and have a lot of land to roam and enjoy the environment. But where do you find that, and how can you afford that in the Hamptons? And literally, one day I got a call from a realtor, and there were all of these lots that were available at prices that you would never see now, for sure. And I said, how can that be? How can it be so cheap? And I ran out to see the house. It was in the middle of a snowstorm, and that's my little cabin that I have on another property. And I couldn't believe this existed in the middle of all of these acres of open private land that was available. And so literally, I was so excited. I have my little log cabin, and I was able to purchase the land around it for a price that would be actually less than renting a house for a summer out here. So those were the days, and it was my dream when I was a little girl. I grew up in Michigan, a suburb of Detroit, and I used to walk down the street where they had a split rail fence. And I was so excited because it reminded me of a horse farm. And so I would sit on the split rail fence and I would pet an imaginary horse, literally hoping one day that it would be my backyard and I could be petting a real horse. And people would drive by and they would go, what is wrong with that little girl? There's definitely something not right there. But it was in my mind, my dream, that one day I would have what I have now in my backyard. And so to have all of my rescue animals just enjoying this beautiful sanctuary is truly a dream come true. Now we go from the entryway right into the living room. And as you can see, it's so bright and wonderful, and it's 2-story. I'm all about big open spaces. And it was such a labor of love. If you look at that fireplace, I found this incredible man who literally built that fireplace rock by rock, stone by stone. Look at this, it's massive. And of course, being that it's called the Last Buck Ranch, literally every buck of mine went into this ranch. It was a labor of love, and he did this with one assistant. Can you imagine? And it's so incredible. And what I really love about this house is that every season is so special here. Now we're into the summer. It's just the best entertainment house. We have these huge wraparound porches, which are so great for entertaining and inviting people over and having barbecues, vegan for me. But it's just the best home to bring your family and friends and look out onto the horses. And then you go into the fall with the autumnal colors and the holidays coming. And Thanksgiving is literally a postcard here. And Christmas, it's right out of a movie. Can you imagine? You know, a big beautiful tree in the corner and the snow and falling with the waterfall and the holidays here. And then spring, everything turns green and the horses are feeling great and they're grazing on the grass. What I truly love about log cabins, they're cool in the summer, they're warm in the winter, but they make every season so special. And the holidays, they make so memorable. Log cabins are just the best. I've collected furniture and found artifacts and blankets. These are vintage blankets. And I love Ralph Lauren. Those were my very exceptional purchases right here, my cowboy boot chairs. I had artists, literally this wonderful man from Up Island, who's an incredible artisan with his hands and woodworking. And he made me this wonderful table. And it has just beautiful designs in it. And everything was made literally from hand. I mean, he took everything and molded it, cut it, and shaped it to fit the style of the home. And what's so great about the furniture, everything is pretty unusual and hand-picked. This I found at an estate sale. This was $20. And I just love it. It fit my house. I thought it was so great. And this I found out west online. It was in an auction, and I think I ended up paying $300 for this wagon wheel chair. It cost me a lot more than that to get it here, but oh, is this the best? I just thought it was so incredible and fit the house so beautiful. And if you look in the corner, that big, tall hand-carved wooden chair. I utilized everything from this house because when it was brought here from Montana, it didn't have windows. So when they were here cutting out every single window that you see in this house, we made all the extra wood into furniture. So I have these massive log chairs all over the property and on the porches. All my picnic tables, I say picnic in a funny way because they're massive log slabs. So we made sure to utilize every beautiful piece of wood. Nothing went to waste. Everything was incorporated right into my home. Well, as a child growing up in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, we spent all of our holidays out west. My mother went to school in Tucson, Arizona, and so did my grandparents, and so did my sister. And we would spend every Christmas going out to Tucson. And I literally became obsessed with the West from the time I could walk and talk. Horses were my whole life. I used to dream about having my own horse. And so to be out west in Arizona where people were riding to the post office, riding their horses to just go get lunch, I said, this is the life I want to have. Well, Michigan is a very horse-friendly state, but it's not the West. And I thought one day I'm going to create that Western wonderland for myself. I ended up, my career brought me first to San Francisco and then back to New York, doing various wonderful television shows. And I was based in Manhattan for the last few decades. And I thought, how am I going to have my Western wonderland in Manhattan or in the Hamptons even? Nobody has this. I can't imagine ever living anywhere else in the world. This is everything I ever wanted and dreamed of. And you know, if you think about it and you envision it and you want it so badly, and it happens, there's nothing better than that. And I created it here. You know, my whole life has been about rescue and adoption. I always say it's my oxygen. And ever since I could walk and talk, I was always saving and rescuing animals, long before people understood the need and importance to do that. And when I was very, very young, I would bring home all sorts of critters and dogs and cats, and my parents were so welcoming to everything, which back then, and we're talking many, many decades ago, was not the norm. I just love animals so much. And so for me, this property is not only my dream come true, but it's truly a sanctuary for all my rescue animals. Rescue and adoption are in a dire state right now. It's probably the worst it's been since I've ever been doing this, probably in 20 years. Whether it be all the COVID returns or our lack of vets that we have right now and the high cost to take your animal to a vet, it's dire. And you can find labradoodles and show dogs, you know, literally beautiful purebreds sitting in shelters waiting for a home, languishing, because nobody's adopting. It's really very frightening and upsetting to me. So I make it my mission to try to educate people, to tell them about the joys of taking in a rescue pet. And when you adopt, they not only get the best home in the world, but they'll change your life. They'll make your life so much better when you give them a second chance for a new life. And please go to your local shelter. There's foster-based groups. Just see what's out there that you can possibly open up your heart and home to, because they need it now more than ever, and your life will be changed. And if you can't adopt, and listen, a lot of people can't, I understand that. There's so many other things you can do. You can foster. I fostered 3 dogs. One ended up with a celebrity flying on a private plane. Talk about the life of Riley. And if you can't adopt, you can't foster, you can always donate your time. Go to your local shelter. Ask to walk a dog. Go on holidays when they're short-staffed. Offer to help. Clean cages. Pet the animals. You know, just be therapy for them. And last but not least, and certainly the most important, donate. If everybody in this country would just give $1, just think how much better off we would be. So I really want to tell people from my experience that my life, I don't have human children. I have my pet parent is what I call myself, but my fur children are my life, and they have made it so wonderful. And if you feel anything close to the way I feel about animals, you understand. And try to do what I've been doing, because boy, it's just the best gift in the world. And it wasn't until much later, after being on the Today Show for 16 years, in 2005, I believe, where my beautiful dog Jack, and I wrote a book about him, Jack and Jill, he was one of my rescue dogs, a German Shepherd. He started limping and he developed osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer. And needless to say, I was so devastated. They give them months to live and you have to amputate the leg. And it was just horrific. And I had decided that what was best for him to ensure a longer life was to amputate his leg. We chronicled Jack's story on the Today Show. And people were so moved by Jack's recovery. The anchors were crying. Meredith Vieira had tears in her eyes. And everybody was so moved by the story. And I got responses from all over the country. How's Jack? What's going on with him? And he ended up living 2.5 years. And he was 11 at the time. So he was 13.5. And for a German Shepherd, you hope to get that life anyway. And because of him, I wrote this book, Jack and Jill, which is in schools all over the country. You know, he's just the miracle dog with a happy tail, T-A-I-L, to tell. He changed my life forever. And it was because of Jack, this beautiful dog, that I went to my boss, head of the Today Show at the time, and I said, you know what, stars don't need my help, animals do. And I've covered every event for you, every award show, I've sat down with every wonderful celebrity, but this is where my heart lies. I'd like to focus on animal welfare. And my boss at the time said, great, be our pet reporter. And I said, pet reporter, no, how about animal advocate? And from that day on, I like to say I went from the red carpet to the wee-wee pad. And I became the animal advocate to save so many animals' lives. Jack was also the ambassador dog of hope for animal cancer. He became his own viral sensation because so many people knew about him, and he survived this dreaded disease for so long that he was really a symbol for animal cancer, and still is to this day. This is my kitchen. And again, the use of everything outside brought in. I love this seating area where it's two areas where you can actually eat. The colors, this bar was bought out west at El Paso Imports. And I love the colors, you know, the Southwest look again. And over here, if you want to sit down and look out onto the waterfall, there's another lovely seating area. And what's really special about this kitchen, because I was so hands-on and everything I wanted to be involved in, from the floor to the ceiling. When I first walked into the kitchen, since I don't cook, I always say that all of these wonderful appliances would be great to store my sweaters. I thought, okay, I have to get help with the kitchen because this is not my forte. So I went to a place, and I'm going to show you these plans. I don't want to show the name, but I said, draw me or sketch for me what you think this kitchen should look like. And so I had this paper, this is from almost 20 years ago, and just normal, you know, cabinets, and I thought, boring. Nothing against them. I mean, serves a great purpose for many people, but this is not my vision. So I got this and I thought, forget that. And I found this incredible artist up island again. And I said, I want all of these cabinets to be reflective of the West. You know, arrows, Americana symbols. If you turn around here, look at this. All of these handles, these are branches from outside. Look at the symbol work he did here from sticks of wood. Everything was done by hand, arrows, to exemplify the Wild West and my love of Navajo art and the history of the West. And this is what he created for me, as opposed to just your standard kitchen. And I always say, for me, I don't understand, and I could never hire somebody to tell me what my taste is. You know, and I appreciate that people do that all the time, but you know, when you have a home, it's such a personal thing, and everywhere you look, I know that I had a part in creating it. I didn't physically build it. Believe me, if I could, I would have. But I know that I picked out the latches outside. I saw 2 twigs, and I said, oh, this will be great. You know, if we want to close the door with that twig, you know, and this handle. And the floors were from upstate, from a 100-year-old barn. Everything was done as a labor of love, and everything I gathered from all my yard sales and all my estate sales, all my favorite little baskets and things are on top. And I'm really excited about my fireplaces. You saw the one in the living room. This one, I wanted it to look like a headdress, like a feather headdress. Do you see how the top is? So again, that incredible mason named Wayne, I said, do the stones, stack them up like a beautiful headdress. And look at it even here. See how this is? And everything was done one rock, one stone at a time. And it was so difficult because not only was he building structurally a safe and beautiful fireplace, he had to listen to what I wanted and try to create pictures of headdresses and dogs' faces. My fireplace outside looked like my yellow lab. So I'm very proud of how this turned out. I really think it's a work of art, like everything in this house is. I mean, you can't find it, you can't buy it anywhere. It was handmade, and it was truly a labor of love. Actually, I should let it be known I'm a bit of a homebody, and my favorite guest list would be all of my dogs and horses, if I could have them in at the table. And literally, I kind of like to hang out and be by myself. But when I do have people over, you know, I have a lot of wonderful close friends. I'm not into parties. We've had a few events here that have been very special, I have to say. I hosted a wonderful event for Aretha Franklin here many years ago. She was a very dear friend of my sister's, Linda Solomon. And Aretha came here, and we had just an incredible barbecue party outside, and she just got such a kick out of this house, you know, to have the Queen of Soul at the Last Buck Ranch. It was really a fun party. But I have to be honest, my favorite times are just hanging with the dogs, riding my horses, looking out the window, looking at the deer. I have wild turkeys. It's truly a wildlife sanctuary, and that's when I'm the happiest, surrounded by four-legged friends. And this is the little den here. It actually was first designed to be the laundry room, but I said, no, I don't want to look at washers and dryers off my beautiful kitchen. I said, this is a great cozy room just to hang out and watch TV. And I have to tell you, with this log home, this was an additional room added on. And so we were going to originally, they wanted to just put sheetrock in here. They didn't bring the hand-hewn logs for this particular room. So I said, no, with every extra log, let's split them at half, and we covered the walls. See this? These are half logs that, if you look at this, they were literally put on the walls so that it all stayed uniform with the rest of the house, instead of just all of a sudden putting in a stucco wall. I didn't want that. And these doors, when they were cutting out the windows, they cut out all the logs, and then the slabs in between the logs, the leftover wood, this is from in between the logs, we turned into all of our doors. See, we used every piece of material. All the earth was put in the house. Nothing went to waste. And also all of the tile work, these beautiful Mexican tiles, and look at the Talavera tiles that are throughout the house. There's designs. I literally got on my hands and knees and I would say, I want an Aztec design, or I want a triangle, and use these tiles here to create this effect. So everything was hand done. I was on my hands and knees. And like I said, the people that came here to put the house together with me, in between taking Excedrin, because I was driving them a little crazy, they ended up really saying it was one of the most unique experiences, because they felt like they were creating a Western museum, and that's what it turned out to be. I mean, it's really quite unusual, and what I love is you're never going to see this in anyone else's home. Okay, so now we're going to go into the master suite, and again, what I love, the 2-story. It's actually 2.5 stories if you look up the massive feeling of this. And I just knew when I designed this home that I wanted this huge, massive ceiling. And then when I decided when they were building that this was all going to be one room and that the closets and the bathroom were back here, I said, wait a second, this is what I want to do. And this is what I drew on a piece of paper. If you turn around and look right here, I have the staircase that goes up to a separate loft area here. You can go up both ways, and all of those railings and twigs were made from trees that were on the property and a friend's property. She was actually building a little guest house, and I said, don't do anything with your trees. And we went running over there and got all her beautiful redwoods that were just going to be left there, you know, to perish. And I took them all and turned them into my the banisters and the railings. And so that's a separate loft area upstairs. That's an office space, and there's sleeping space up there. And over here, I said, we're not going to let this area go to waste, because if I'm in this room, so are my doggies. Right, Stanley? And here are my log dog beds. And these are for my big super seniors. You can see they were made. There's 2 here. And when they're not in the bed with me, they can go chill out. Do you want to go into your dog log bed? Huh, sweetheart? But everything is just for the animals, and even they have their own little log cabin. Over in the corner is another massive tree that was left laying on the ground. Look at this, how it just added so much to the room. And again, I can come home and I can hang my hat here, or I can hang a coat. I always make it useful, you know, as a wonderful coat rack. It's the natural environment inside. These are all antique chests. I love Pendleton, as you can see from the blankets. I designed a line of clothes and dog beds for Pendleton. I think they're the most incredible company. And being obsessed with the West, my Navajo jewelry collection, I'm either always wearing it or displaying it, and I'm so proud of it. I feel so happy when I'm wearing turquoise. I feel it's a healing stone, and I've been collecting it since I was a child. My parents would come back from trips, or we would be in Arizona. I would pick up anything turquoise or silver, and I've just always appreciated the beauty of the Southwest and the Navajo culture and what this jewelry means and what it is. And at the time when I was buying it, I just would look at the colors, not realizing what I was buying. And it just makes me happy. So I try to have it wherever I live, either on the walls as art or as jewelry. I try to find really unusual paintings. Look at this. Those are like it's supposed to be a wall, okay, in someone's home, and that's an actual painting. Look at those photographs with the masking tape. That's a painting. And all their knickknacks that you would see in anybody's home, but yet this incredible artist painted it. And all throughout the home, you know, adobe homes, horses, of course, cowboys on the wall. You know, I love my wonderful rugs, just beautiful artifacts to show and highlight the Southwest. And Navajo symbols, and also look, this beautiful eagle. Look at this. This is the same artist that did the kitchen. He said, I'm going to, with wood, construct a gorgeous eagle for your room. Isn't that incredible? All right, now let's go check out the loft. I just absolutely adore this loft, and it's so cozy and wonderful. And what a great workspace. Check this out. You come up these stairs here, made from the logs from the windows, and you come up here and you can look out onto the waterfall and look at this view of the room. You have the whole room here to look at. It's so unbelievable because you really get the feel of the architecture. Look at the beams, look at the trusses. This is incredible, and you can look down onto the master suite. You see another master fireplace. Again, the same mason did this fireplace for the master bedroom. And the beautiful railings with the twigs, and look at all of this. One man took all of these branches and under extreme heat and water would bend and made them all work so he could build railings. I mean, it's truly a labor of love and a work of art. And this is my cozy little sitting area, which actually can also be a sleeping area. This furniture is very, very special. First of all, it's made from naugahyde, and it was back from the 70s. And it's very collectible right now. And all of these pieces, and I have them throughout the house, which you'll see, came from every state all over the country. And I love this one with the horse, and over there is embroidered into that chair as a saddle. This pulls out and it's actually like a twin bed. But look at this, it's not leather. They were using pleather back then. I was very ahead of my time being a vegan. And it's so great because it pulls out, it's got the feel of the West, and the sides are wagon wheels, and this is all vintage, and no one piece is alike. It was not manufactured like that. It's all hand sewn, hand done, and I just think it's fabulous. And again, all of the doors, this wood was taken from the inside of the logs. We utilized everything. All the handles are twigs. Come on, Stanley, and look at this bathroom. This is Mexican Talavera, beautiful tile from the Southwest that was brought here. And I wanted an old-fashioned tub, and I really got my dream with this. It's really fun, isn't it? And one of my favorite features in this bathroom, if you come over here, all of the sinks are hand painted, and they had horses and dogs, and I found all of these sinks out west that actually look just like my horses. So look at this one. In my pastures, I have Bella and Ranger's a paint and Bella's a black horse, and here they are in the sink. Every sink is a beautiful horse that I either have now or is in heaven. So when I look and I wash my hands and I wash my face, I'm reminded of all my beautiful animals. And then if you look into this shower, this tile work is truly masterful. Look at this. This is also all Talavera, and it was brought out from the Southwest. And then I have my saloon doors to go into the other part of the bathroom. Come on in. And a self-portrait of me, just kidding. But don't you notice that the horse is smiling? And then if you look over here, I just really am so excited that I was able to, again, incorporate nature, even to hold my toilet paper. It's a twig from outside. And of course, what's a John without a John, right? There's John Wayne to say hello. And again, all of my horses, they're beautiful, beautiful etchings and paintings right into the sink. Bling, who's now turned white, she's right outside in the pasture. This looked like her when she was young. So it's just a work of art. All of the mirrors came from the Southwest. They're all the beautiful Talavera tile. And the floors, terracotta Mexican tiles. And it's called Saltillo with the Talavera. And just beautiful designs and colors. And you don't see them anywhere. That's what I love so much about the house. It's one of a kind. It's not like you go to a store and you go, oh yeah, I saw that sofa, or I saw, that mirror. Nobody can say that about this house. They'd have to do like a whole scavenger hunt all over the country to try to find any one of these items. Now we're going to head upstairs where I built a cabin within a cabin, a little western town. It's really cute. Now here's another room where I actually drove the contractor and architect bonkers. This was supposed to be a closed bedroom. This was a full wall. I got up here and I said, no, this is the best view in the world. We have to have this open. We've got my pastures on one side. I have the waterfall on the other side. Again, I opened up the whole room, and the wonderful carpenters and contractors, we found all of these trees. They built all of this incredible railing, and every twig had to be bent and made for security and stability, but also beauty. So I opened this all up. I lost a bedroom, even though you can sleep here and there's a full bathroom and a walk-in closet. But look what I gained in view and beauty. And again, my obsession with the West and growing up going to Tucson, especially old Tucson, I created a little Western museum, or I like to say a cabin within a cabin. So you go under this archway, and here is my little cabin within. It's a little seating area. I literally spray painted myself. I took gray spray paint and did all the windows to look old, like an old Western town. I wanted it to look very, very vintage and antique-y. And then you come in here, and I call this now the Last Buck Hotel. And this is my favorite bedroom. Isn't this special? You walk in and it's like a cabin within a cabin. Now this is one of Stanley's favorite places. It was an empty space in between one bedroom and another, and I thought, I want to create a Western town in this little space. So this closet, I said, I'm going to make it look like a saloon. And then over against this wall, which is nothing behind it, I wanted to create my blacksmith shop. So I have my old horseshoes hanging. I put up a fictitious door with the rope and all the horseshoes. So in my dream mind, you open the door and the blacksmith is inside shoeing my horses. And then over here is my little trading post area. You can hang out here and sit and just enjoy the view of the little museum. And then it goes into another bedroom. And with all of the log work going on and all of the people that had to travel from all over the country, and things were kind of chaotic, when they put the archways and the logs together for this room, if you notice, they don't meet up. The logs are supposed to be right next to each other, faceted tightly. Well, I thought, no problem. I'll make it a little bird's nest, and that's what I did. Little wood bird. Welcome to my movie theater. This is really a unique room. Again, these vinyl chairs. I showed you the little sleeping area upstairs where there's incredible Western pictures of horses. There's a cow, there's saddles, they're all sewn in. Each one of these chairs, I was on the hunt for them because I'm obsessed with this Naugahyde vintage furniture from the 70s. And I would find them in Arkansas, in Ohio. I even went as far as Maine. I found one of the chairs, and they're so much fun because each one is different. No one chair is alike, even though they may look like similar pictures. They're different shades, different stitching, and look, they rock. These are such great chairs to watch a movie in. And I've got my popcorn maker and of course the bar with the saddle stools here. And these lights above, which I have featured all throughout this room, they are all vintage cowboy lantern lights. Can you see? And each one has a picture, a beautiful Western scene. And they're all natural wood, and they light up, and they're in the shape of wagons, like from the Old West. And so they're all along this room. And just the best place to watch a movie, preferably a Western. Again, I want to stress, these are faux leather. They're so cool. And we're talking from, you know, almost 50 years ago this stuff was created. So I was on the hunt all over the country to find every chair, every sofa. Even the bar is from that same line with the horse's head sewn in. And I thought, these are so great. And you're not going to find this anywhere. I mean, unless you go online. Please don't, because I'm still looking to buy up everyone I can find. Okay, now we're going to head outdoors. What's so special about this house also, it looks massive, but it's really not that big. What makes it look so big are these incredible porches. When I was sketching it on a napkin, sending these little drawings to Montana, I said, I don't want the ski lodge, I want a country farmhouse, but I want the porches to be just as part of the house as the indoors. And I want it feeling like you could live out here just as well as you can live indoors. So look at the space here. There's all of these fabulous seating areas here and my outdoor fireplace, and this is very special. Again, that same mason who did those amazing fireplaces indoors, look at what he created outdoors. And this little design, I don't know if you can see, it's a little head, the two ears, the two eyes, and the nose. He did this in honor of my beautiful buck, my yellow lab, who I lost. So there's memories of him here, and always with the incredible views out to the pastures. And if you walk down here, we can sit in this beautiful chair and look out onto the incredible views. Isn't this great? I just love it. Stanley, want to sit in the chair with me? Come on, want to swing? Come here, bud. Hi. There's so much space out here. This is what I was saying. When we had the party here for Aretha Franklin, they're entertaining this to me is the best part of the house, because all of this open space to entertain and hang out with your friends. And I talked about the chairs in the living room, these chairs and all of the furniture here. This was all made from leftover wood from the windows that I told you about. When they cut out all the windows after bringing the house here from Montana, this was the wood that was left over, so we turned it into our furniture. And welcome to the Last Buck Ranch watering hole. Great place to sit down. You can have a cold drink. If you love my saddle stools, these are so cool. And you just sit here and hang out, and you hear the waterfall, see the horses. Again, it's the outdoors in. I feel like this is just the same type of wonderful living space, and so cozy and wonderful, but it's outside. Now from the watering hole, we're wrapping around to the front of the house under the porte cochere. And this was created as your indoor garage, so to speak, because you can park under here and your car will be protected from all of the elements. But look at what we have right next to it. One of the most incredible features, this man-made waterfall. We used our natural hill, and it's recycled water that goes around and around. The dogs love it, the deer love it. I leave this on 24/7 all year long so that my wildlife has something to drink all year long. Now we're in the Last Buck Ranch barn, and this is truly my happy place. This is another one of my beautiful horses. This is Madison. Check her out. She's a paint. Yeah, you're pawing for attention, aren't you? You know you're a beauty. And this really, truly is Yellowstone in the Hamptons. The only thing missing is Kevin Costner. Huh? Yes, I love the kisses. I love the kisses. Come here, sweetheart. Hi. Hello, Mama. Hello, beautiful girl. My beautiful angel. Yeah. This is beautiful bling. And I just remember looking back decades ago when I was that little girl sitting on a fence in Michigan, petting an imaginary horse. And here I am today with all of my beautiful horses. I really have my dream. And this is what home means to me.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.